Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's show, some midsummer trimming. Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. In the sense that I have a branch that splits into two shoots in here, so I'm probably going to cut this thing off right about here this fall. I've taken my knob cutter and I've gotten rid of some of that. So I just put them on the bottom, growing upwards into the bag. We fill it up with trees and then we water as we need to. Try to get rid of those air pockets. I was recently able to take some stones from the North Shore of Minnesota and secure them onto my homemade pot where I have my peninsula weeping willow. And the tree's doing fine. It's a cutting from about two to 3 years ago. And I'm starting to get that worry about reverse taper up here because I've got 3 strong branches up top that are feeding this right here. And it's going to get thicker than down here, I think, in a hurry. So today, because these grow so fast and so much throughout the year, I know that I have a lot of growing time before the fall for some recovery. One of the problems I found with willows is you get a lot of unexplained dieback, and that's one of the challenges to willows for bonsai, is you'll get just interesting dieback. For instance, right here, this branch just died in the tip. I'm not sure why, but there's other branches. And the nice thing about willows is they do backbud and grow ferociously. So if you get a branch that does go away, you're going to get other branches. Got this growth growing right. I can cut this branch to right here and I'm going to have this growing back here. So we're just going to take a peek at it, step back, and I've got all these really long branches that actually about 2-3 weeks ago were all weeping like this. This was weeping and this was weeping kind of like this. But they've gotten so thick that they're beyond the weeping stage now, and now they want to grow back up and they're not weeping anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting these back. Got this branch going off here. This one comes way out the front, a couple feet in length. We're just going to trim this all and make it more of a smaller tree, and it'll give it another couple, 2-3 months to grow before the winter season. So this one's growing right out at us, and so is this one, at the camera, right at your face. We don't like that in bonsai, so we have to make some decisions. I do have some of this dieback that happened right here, but I got a growth back here, so I can go ahead and actually cut it right about here, because I can already see a couple other buds possibly going to pop out down the road. This one, I've got no growth in here, so the safe cut, if I wanted some growth, would be to cut it right about here, which I could do. And this is a thick enough branch now where I can go ahead and propagate these and make some more willows. Stick them in some water. You'll have roots within a few days. Good solid roots within 3 to 4 months. And just to show you that, I took these cuttings from the tree at the park about 2-3 weeks ago, and if I pull this up, you can see all the roots in there. There they all are. So I'm going to keep those in there for a little bit more growth. A couple of them died off, but I'm going to put those in soil a little later as well. You're also able to propagate willows super easy in old bonsai soil. So I take my old bonsai soil that's recycled stuff, and I'm just sticking the sticks right in. This one's pencil thickness, and it had the most growth already. This was the next thick one, and it grew. The smaller ones all died away. So I got 2 more willow trees that are starting to produce some leaves, some new growth already, and the roots are probably forming pretty nicely in the bottom. Make sure you're keeping that thing super wet. Willows really love the water. So I've got all kinds of cuttings from willows from this year, from my own trees and from the park. Back to the tree. This one's super long. What I noticed in the last couple of weeks is not only is this branch got all these big leaves, but I'm getting all this secondary growth now. Right here, and here, and here. All the way back here as well. So I'm going to cut this one right here just to start with. And again, this one, I can get rid of some of these leaves, stick this in the ground, and I can put this as a cutting alongside this one. we can put that up here and get them going. So I've already changed the dynamic of the tree, of course, considerably with just those 2 cuts. Back here, super long as well. Here's a branch that's going up. I'm going to cut it right there. And there you go. Yet another cutting I could use. So this branch back here actually has several points on it where it's growing up now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different spots. I'm going to go back even further. Right there. So, some of these are going to take off and we'll figure out which one looks the best, does the strongest, survives. This one where I cut it to, I've got 1, 2, 3 spots right here where it can grow. I got it right there, even back here. I could cut this one even further back, but I'm going to wait. So I'm just going to let that go, let this go. We'll see what happens with this guy. So I've got this one here, but it's got a little death at the tip. So we don't know what this branch is going to do, but I've got this growth right here, right there. So that's going to, possibly do something as well. Not to mention that these grow profusely, and I'll probably get some back budding like I already have way down here and here. So I could cut this solid branch way back to here, and this would start to grow up again. But for right now, just to keep some semblance of a tree shape, I'm just going to go ahead and think about this for a few more seconds. Actually, I'm going to come down to here. Take my bigger clippers here, because of this growth right there. And I can cut out this dead shoot, not wasting any energy. And again, I've got this to grow, possibly this to grow, or that to grow. This could form some more trees, which might do a little hanging, little weeping. Worst case though, if this has dieback, I have all this growth back here. This might stimulate this growth here. So I could cut it back to here, so I have this pocket here, but I'm just going to hold off. Death on that backside. So this branch back here is a little weak, but it's got nice division every other here, left, right, and then kind of in the center here with growth. This needs to thicken up because of how thick this one is. These two are unbalanced. I got super thick, I got medium, and I got thin. This one needs to grow a little bit farther, so I have to cut this thing back. So my challenge right now here is how far we're going to cut this one back. I do know this branch, regardless, would come off. So we're going to take that off. Again, strip off some of the leaves for a potential cutting. And now the tree is much smaller, much more reasonable shape. I'll get a little closer for you. There we go. So we got this tree shape. If I cut this one here, so I've got kind of this wonky tree shape. This one's still a little bit big in our face, but look at how thick this is up here. I got this big honking tree right here, all the way up to here. It's a nice tall tree, but this isn't getting much thicker, and this is going to keep getting thicker. So I have to make a decision. Where do I cut this? Where do I make it go? Now it has an awfully 90-degree turn here, so I probably should leave this more as a leader, which would give it some curve here, and hope I get some more growth. I got this one sticking out that's awfully thick. I got this one down here. So with those 3 branches, I have to figure out what to do. And the more I look at this, I want to bring it back down to here. We'll just hope this does some new growth, and it's now a little bit more condensed. This one's too thick. These need to catch up. So if I left that long, it's just going to get too much vigor. And I've got a couple of buds back here, especially this live one back here. So we'll see what happens with that. So now I've cut that back. This back one is weak. So that leaves still this monster of a tree. This tree has a little bit of blackness on it, so I'm feared that it's dying off. So I'm not sure what's going to happen here, but there's a brand new bud shooting right out there. So if this were to die off, this is actually in a little bit better place right here to grow up and fill in this empty space should this die. I'll leave it alone for now. And this one is a little weak up on top, but it's being covered, but it's got all kinds of new shoots on there. It's alive, it's growing. I have to decide what to do with this great big thick trunk here. So right off the bat, this is about 8 inches. It's just too long, and it's all the same thickness. And all this around here is going to make it get reverse taper because it's so thick up there. So I think I have to take that off. So I think the first thing I would do is I know I'm going to take off at least that much. Another thick tree, I can do both of these as a cutting. This might be a little short for a cutting. So I can cut it off here. And I can make this a cutting, and then make this a cutting. So I think that's what I would do. So now I can make this as a cutting with some interesting movement already. And then if I really wanted another cutting, I can go ahead and do that as well. And it's got some curve to it. I have enough willow trees. I might not do any more cuttings, but you always start them and hope a couple will survive. So I've already condensed the tree tremendously, but this is still top heavy. Well, this one grows up nice and straight. This one grows at another 90-degree angle, so I'm not afraid to just come in here and go ahead and do that. And there, of course, you got it, is another cutting. Cut these branches off and hope for the best. You don't know what you're going to get. So now we've taken our great big weeping willow that weeped for many, many weeks. We've cut it back super, super short. Sorry for the shakes. And here we go. We've got this left. So thicker to a little bit thinner to thinner. So that's normal taper. But I've got this long tree now, so I gotta hope this really develops. But for this to develop again, I don't want all the roots to be super strong on this side and weak on this side, so I still should consider trimming this down. And if I were to take it down to here, I got this growth here, then this one here, maybe this would shoot up and become more of a leader. And with these little shoots right here, those can take off up to the sky right now, and I could cut this back right away. So as a matter of fact, I could cut this to here, and I've got 1, 2, 3 shoots and this lower one to see what happens with that. But then do I cut it right here in the hopes that it takes off? This is still a little out of proportion. The other thing you should do is once in a while too is turn the tree around. This was the back. Maybe that becomes the new front. I like this as a front originally because of how it opens up towards the audience a little bit, curves around and kind of hugs you a little bit, but maybe a little different slant. It's a very heavy tree stand. Look at that movement right here. Curves this way, and then nice and goes back this way. We can get some curve back this way. And who knows what's going to happen with these branches. Another decision that could be made is we could cut this entirely off right here and make these two the new possible leaders. And then it goes from thicker to thinner, and we can keep growing this tree out. Even if I had this as the new front, I would probably cut this branch off then because it's just still too thick and powerful up there. You also notice, if you were able to see, probably not from my fast turns, but there's a little bit of growth right there. So if I were to go ahead and make this decision, there I just did, because I'm not afraid to make these decisions with a willow tree because they grow so fast. And I have so many other willows that I'm willing to take some extra risks. Another nice cutting, nice size, super thickness there, that'll probably grow well. So there's my new tree, and look right here. I got this little bud about an inch down, half an inch down right there, growing straight up, which could be the new leader if this doesn't take off. So that's where I'll stop. However, I'm going to do this. One more decision. This has 3 different branches growing off of it right here. This brings it all into a small little compact shape now. We'll just let this go and see what it does. So there is the bonsai on a peninsula, where now the pot makes it look incredibly tiny, but we will just continue to let it grow and see what comes of it down the road. So as I mentioned earlier, I have a lot of weeping willows, a lot of cuttings from over the years. I've got my cuttings up here that I talked about earlier, and these are the cuttings from the same year I think 2 to 3 years ago, as the one in the peninsula. I didn't like these trees as much, so I put the other one in. Now these trees were already attacked by the bunnies once, so they lost all their foliage, and they started growing like crazy again. So I'm just going to take these and give them some haircuts. They got massive roots. I keep these in a pot, a little tray below, so there's always water down there for them, so they're loving life. Now this guy, here's your mysterious death. What happened to this guy? I don't know if he was shaded by my tomato plant, which became huge, or what's going on with this guy. But so far, it doesn't look very good. It's on its way out. There is a little bit of life to it. We'll see if anything happens to that one, but we'll cut it off for good, I'm sure, down the road. This will now give this tree some bend to the right. We can slant this tree off to the right or something like this and have it grow up like this and do some curves. We'll see. So a lot of times we don't like that Y look anyway, so this might just be best to come off at some point. Now is as good as any time. I don't like it. I don't want a Y. I have enough Y trees. I have enough of these weeping willows that I can go ahead and be bold. It's the nice thing about having a lot of trees. Don't be afraid to get a lot of trees. You know, if you get too much and you can't maintain them, that's one thing. But have some trees so you can experiment and learn as you go. So go ahead and clean this up a little bit. And again, this can become some kind of interesting curve on the tree here, and hopefully we'll get some more growth down here. So because we don't have a lot of growth down there, I don't want to be too aggressive with this, but I'm just going to go ahead and give it a little haircut so we have a little bit smaller tree, and that's all I'm going to do for that one. Short and simple, and we'll see what else happens with this vein right here, and maybe some back budding, because I'm certainly getting back budding on my other trees. Here's another one. Got some curves again. I had that Y look. This came off a year or two ago, so it's healing up fairly good. It's a little bit of a bulge look to it. You can clean it up just a little bit and try to get some new healing over that. There we go. So this one has a really weird split down here. And then it's got a really strong secondary branch right here, and this one right here splits in a Y again because I had some mysterious death right there. Okay. But again, we're going to give this a haircut, so I'm just going to go ahead and go like this, and go like this. And it's a little bit shorter. And this guy right back here. So we have 4 nice branches growing right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have to be careful not to make sure that doesn't get into some kind of bulge down the road. But I like how this one is growing up now. But I like how this one grows over. Which one do I get rid of? You know, we have no idea what the front of this tree is going to be yet. Maybe something like this. And so I don't want to see this front one. If that's the front, we don't know. I'm going to cut that one off because it's by another branch there. Clean it up just a little bit. And I'm just going to cut this one off. So now we have 3 actually. We have these 2 at the top. This one probably will do better. It's the stronger one. I'll leave that weaker one on there. But plus we have this one over here. So we may end up cutting it down there someday. And up top, just a little haircut. This is a super strong branch. Who knows what will happen with this one down the road. But we're done with that one. And then we have this one. So again, we got some weird movement. Got some nice old bark now finally in the bottom. This is a 3-year-old bark. Again, that 2 to 3-year-old range. So it's crunchy. I've got this inner branch growing right in there that I don't want. So I just cut that right off. I can cut that a little closer with my concave. A little bit better. Okay. So we can leave this branch on for now. You'll see this one died off or was cut off. I'm not sure which. We'll let that grow. We'll let that grow. See, here you go. This one just died off. Why did it die off? But then it grew right there. We'll leave that for right now. Here's some more death right here. This just kind of died right up there in the top. We'll cut that off and see what this growth down here can do. And up here, here's where it splits off and looks kind of nice. Too bad this wasn't down here, right? But again, we have kind of a slanting tree now with little subsection down here, which could be a little smaller. We're just going to give this guy a haircut right there. Oops. Right there. Right here by all the Japanese beetle damage. And I think I'll just leave that one right about there. This looks like a former chop right here from a little bit earlier this year, maybe after the bunnies got it. I can chop this one down a little bit more right there. We can clean these up later. So, yeah, just a little bit cleaner. And we'll put it back in its super sunny spot. Keep it well watered. Super a lot of water for these willows. So there's a couple of quick haircuts for you. So the last willow for today is the rabbit chop. You can see down in here, that was chopped by a rabbit down to about 1 inch in height, completely chopped off. And of course it grew a new trunk, and there we go. This one also was attacked by the rabbits because I had it a little bit too low. I've realized I have to have it on my benches. And so this summer it's gotten thicker again. These two branches are doing really well, and this guy right here is kind of a neat shape to it. It's kind of scraggly a little bit. I'm just going to chop it off right there. I've got the growth down here and one back here. These are too close to each other, so I'm just going to cut that off. This one might be too low, but for now I'm just going to leave it to thicken up that trunk. And yeah, not a whole lot to do. We got two growing right from the same spot here, and then a little one down under here. I don't want to be growing straight out and straight from the same other one, so I'll just cut that one off. So now we have this split right here and here. And then this one's huge, right? So I'll cut that one there. I'm going to cut this one back down here. And this has such a long way to go. I just love the willows. And we're keeping them growing. And we'll just decide what to do with this one after it continues to get through this really early developmental stage. So there's another willow with a brief little haircut. And we'll get it back in the sun. And here's the tray, by the way. Again, I keep it in water. I keep these in water all the time because they just love that water. One of the few bonsai in my collection that we can have wet feet and not have to worry so much about the root rot. So there we have the last bonsai. So I have an update for you today on a tree that I worked on earlier in the spring. My yard used to have a whole 2 sides of the yard with these purple lilac trees. And I've dug a few out, put them in different parts of my yard for little lilac trees, if you will. And then I started carving this one out and showing some more dead type looking tree. These things have suckers that grow very fast. I have to go around and cut the suckers out. Actually, you can just scrape them off real easy. But the update on this is it's looking okay. It kind of stops growing after that first flush, and then the heat comes in. But I did go ahead and defoliate just a little bit of this guy. Oh, here's a little growth right here. Here's a little growth right there. They pop up all over the place. So that right now has been the back. And this is the front. And this still is one unit here together. I haven't been able to separate these two yet. Maybe the next video, who knows. But we got some natural cracking in here now. And these things still grow. So you got these branches growing in the back of this, what looks like kind of maybe it was a broken off branch. I got some more carving to do, maybe some lime sulfur, maybe some stain to darken up the insides here so you can get a little depth of field in there. But this one's got a nice strong leader right here. It's split here and here, and a couple splits up here. Alternating splits on the tree, so it's super nice with this species. You get the alternating split of 2 to 2 to 2. So yeah, so when this thing grows out and leaves out right away and I start to lose this big chop here, when I start to condense this, that'll kind of hide some of that. It won't hide this, but it'll hide this one. This might be exposed for quite a while. But you'll notice at the tip top where I did cut, I didn't do a massive defoliation, just a partial. And you can see with this right here, new growth, the new growth. Right here, the buds are trying to pop right there soon. But the new growth, the new growth, the new growth, the new growth, and the new growth right here. So I didn't do all of it, just some. You can see I defoliated some down here, and so those buds are going to get stronger for maybe next year's push. The lilacs do grow like a weed, but they seem to have this stagnant period after the flowers go, and middle summer they just kind of all of a sudden stop. But there is an update on the big old decrepit trunked lilac as of June 31st. Well, there you have it, everybody. A quick little update on my weeping willows, and a lot more cuttings to do, a lot more things to work on in coming months and years. And the bench is looking pretty good. I rearranged my trees in the last couple of weeks to get some trees that really love that sun a little bit more into the sun, and my bench is so full. This is my full sun spot, and I just never have enough room. I keep growing. So things are looking good. Things are looking healthy. I hope your bonsai are looking well. If you like this, make sure you let me know. And yeah, any topic interest, let me know. I'll see if I can cover it. Otherwise, I appreciate your time, and we'll see you on the next one. Alrighty, stay safe, everybody. Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. In the sense that I have a branch that splits into two shoots in here, so I'm probably going to cut this thing off right about here this fall. I've taken my knob cutter and I've gotten rid of some of that. So I just put them on the bottom, growing upwards into the bag. We fill it up with trees and then we water as we need to. We try to get rid of those air pockets.